Get yourself together, sister. Get yourself together for this Sunday session.
That's how you know it was gonna be a good talk. Our pre-conversation, just our natural back and forth, listening, jiving. You jive turkey.
Yeah. You look real bright today.
You knew that.
You know
You
that.
knew that. Yeah.
You know what I gotta do? I
What's
was
up?
about to cheat myself, light one of my incense.
Burn one.
Light
You gotta burn one. Burn one.
back to the apple.
That's how them old school niggas be singing. I want. You gotta burn one.
Bro, I want my shirts.
Burn one.
Not come. I'm gonna have to come down there and get some more. Forget it.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I'm glad it's Sunday. I feel like we're back on our regular
Yeah,
routine.
that's what I said. I'm back. I done did a show. I done posted a podcast. I'm back. Let's go. I'm adjusted. I'm getting adjusted. I ain't gonna say I'm all the way adjusted, but I'm getting adjusted.
It's in there.
I'm not all the way there, but I'm getting there. Eyes is getting there. How you feel? Yeah, you came in, you looked disturbed. You looked. It wasn't disturbed, but you know how a person is rushing. You looked like you was bustling. Like you could tell that you work on the time. Like you came in like, hold on, let me send this link. Let me get this before you even did anything, because that's what your time thing on. Like that's why I'm like, man, if you don't get comfortable,
Shut
you
up.
have to do no show with me all uptight.
Right. I hate to be. I was thrown off this week. It was this whole week for me. So that's why I knew. You see, I came in on good vibes, like, hey, whatever it was that pulled us to this point on this good Sunday morning, we turn another way. There's a new route. I won't be. I won't be disturbed during my.
Listen, that's that balance I always talk about. Since I'm down here, I gotta say words like that. That's that balance I was talking about. When your balance is thrown off, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? You have to understand that life is always trying to figure out how to balance its way out. You know what I mean? So when you have a lot of positive going on in your life, you're going to bring negative in your life as well.
Yeah.
That's just the perfect balance.
Balance.
That message was brought to you in part by Echo.
Hey, where Echo
So
at?
the meditation of God, the meditation of Elefante.
Hey. This is her
Balance.
show too. This is her show too.
Out here, you knew that. You can
Hey,
get a little closer for y'all too.
Echo.
Keep it classic.
You knew that.
That.
Yeah, that's the elephant in the room who addresses all issues. And yeah. But yeah, balance. I always talk to people about balance. It's important because you have to recognize balance. You know what I'm saying? And when you don't recognize balance, that's when you be confused. Like, man, I don't understand why all this bad is happening to me. Okay, well, understand why all this good was happening to you. Now, understand it got to balance itself out. So you just got to prepare yourself for it. That's all it is. So it was a rough week, but it wasn't nothing you couldn't handle. It's just to get you to this point to have this conversation because nothing happens by coincidence. And then you hit the reset button. And then this week is going to be one day fit.
Hey, I'm here for the talk. Let's talk about it.
Better get your mind right.
You knew that.
Right.
For real, for real. I can't preach that enough, though. Because that's one thing that helped me really get to understanding in my life when I started to understand like that balance concept, and it's with everything. Once you understand life and its cycle and how everything is connected, and what the plants go through is the same thing that the animals go through, which is the same thing that us as humans go through. We are no different, and then we base everything that we create off of the concept of life. You know what I mean? Of how it starts to how it ends to how it starts again, hence to how you get a recycle process. Plastic starts as nothing, then it becomes something, then it becomes nothing to become something. That's the same base. You know what I mean? It's just the same basic life cycle. Everything has the same life cycle. So once you get that balance understood, then your perception changes on how you look at bad, and you start to look at all the lessons as a blessing. It's only right that this happens, because if this didn't happen, then this wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? Look
Agree.
at the connections and stuff that we making. We making great connections due to the great moves that have been made. You know what I mean? So some rough patches gonna come in there. It's for them to, because if the move never would have been made, then those rough patches never would have existed. That's just how much of our timeline that we control. You know what I'm saying? Every choice that we make is a different shift. You know what I mean? In the future.
You was talking about that earlier this week about how much we really control. Like
Yep.
somebody were to ask you, is it free will or is it all orchestrated? Yeah,
I believe it's free will
yeah.
because you have the freedom to make a choice. You have a freedom to say I'm walking to the store or I'm driving to the store. You have the freedom to say I'm getting up at this time in the morning or I'm going to continue to sleep. You know what I mean? So it's free will. Nobody's directing you to do anything. You're making that choice from either the ego side, the ID side, or the super ego side. It depends on how you're conducting your own life. Most of us conduct our life in an ego format. We go by what the ego wants. Oh, well, the typical person isn't getting up to 11 o'clock. So I would feel like I'm better than the typical person because I got up at 10. But your spirit, your ID side is saying, no, you need to get up and handle business. You actually need to be getting up at 7. But because you're relying so much on the ego, you're basing everything that you do off of what's going on around you, that environment. Self Care Sunday.
Hey, I'm here for the talk. Let's talk about it.
Bounce. Bounce. Self Care Sunday. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Hey, just hear the intro alone. We on bounce. Bounce. What is going on? Bounce. It's the Self Care Sunday. The first official Self Care Sunday show that I am doing from Arizona.
Is that the way that you're going to say
it? Arizona.
Arizona.
Yes. I feel good. The rays and the energy that's coming through, you know what I'm saying, right here to present this show. Oh my God, I feel excellent.
You look excellent. You look excellent.
Even though we just had the pre-conversation, there was something about, can I just one time? Self-Care Sunday. Oh man. That's when you know you got a passion.
Hey, I'm here for the talk. Let's talk about it.
Because that just feel good alone right there. Self-Care Sunday. That feel good alone just because I know when I hear that button, I know what time it is. I know what time it is. I know what time it is. Self-Care Sunday. That's cracking.
Sunday.
That's cracking. That's cracking. That is cracking. What's happening though? How you feeling? How you feeling? How you feeling?
First of all, it's Sunday and we back in full.
We are back in full effect for can I interrupt for a minute? Okay. For the listeners out there that might not be following us on social media or too in tune yet with our YouTube channel to see the things that are actually going on visually that only are catching the audio aspect of what we're doing. We're just a little bit excited for today because T-Time, True to You, the U Network is currently functioning out of Phoenix, Arizona area.
Out west,
which is a little closer to MPM Entertainment.
absolutely.
Podcast.
The Vegas area.
Herself. It's great. It's great. We got some great big things coming. But we're not gonna take away from the fact that this show is Self-Care Sunday from Arizona today. So we really gonna bring these vibes out here because that's what I feel out here. I feel a lot of good vibes. You know what I'm saying? The energy that's coming from the people and stuff. Despite what other people say, you know, I don't really go off the perception of others. I go off of what I look at, what I see. You know what I mean? And so far, you know what I mean, everything's been so good. I'm loving the vibe. I'm loving the feel. Moves being made. Everything has been looking up so far. So I can't say it was a bad move. And you really can tell the difference in when you're doing stuff when you change environment. And it really puts big importance on environment when you start to see, when you start to look more into wanting to grow as a person,
Mhm.
or when you start to look more into wanting to elevate. You know what I mean? That's when you have to understand that environmental change is important, especially psychologically.
Okay.
You know what I mean? When you talk about environment alone brings new expectations. When you start somewhere and you build something somewhere from where you started, you have expectations set for where it is.
Okay.
But then once that environment change, or you make you take a risk, or you make a big change to what it is that you started, now the expectations for it changes. You know what I mean? Taking something from a smaller environment and putting it in a bigger environment, you look past what functions you wanted it to have in that smaller environment, because now you wanted to capitalize in that larger environment.
Yeah. And you know what? One of the things too that we don't want to overlook, like understanding that it was time for that change. Like I'm glad that you were able to take whatever it is that you were doing, because the start of it was where you were, right? Just
All right.
to see that it can be great, that you have a story to tell, that you know what I mean, like this can help impact people. People will make plays behind this information and your work and what you're trying to do. Like, but you have to be able to tell yourself that it's time for a change. What was it for you?
Um, it was the everything, the aspects of the environment. If you want to look at it there, we don't just we only pay attention to the large scale of an environment. Speaking for myself, only paying attention to the city and state that I was in.
Mhm.
That's the environment that I look to succeed and to excel in. But not understanding that the aspects that come with that environment, as far as the mentality of the people, the way support is looked at, the perception of what that city could be, what that state can be. You know what I mean? The overall look, when people look at that city, what that state, what is it that they see? So
Right.
you almost look like a diamond in the rough. If someone's defined you in that kind of environment, they're pretty much locating a diamond in the rough, because these aren't the expectations of what's in that environment. So
Yeah.
you have to, when I took what I created and I put it in an environment where people are looking for people that are looking to excel, where people are looking for people that have started their own foundations, that have something that they're trying to build up, something that they can connect with and they can see success in their self in it.
Okay.
Now you're taking your bright idea and people are willing to connect their bright idea with it. That's just something that's not seen in the environment that I came from.
And I feel you a lot. We talk a lot about, we were talking about balance before we got on, but energy is big too. Like sometimes when you don't feel like you can connect with the energy around you, sometimes when you don't feel like the energy is there, that's a big deal. Like you can be suffocated by your environment. And a lot of times you do want to give off good energy. Like it's all about how you vibe too. So it can't be that you're just looking for other people that got good energy and you don't have good energy. You having good energy and then not being able to kind of get that connection back, because people are on their own journeys, they're doing their own thing, and they're seeing the same kind of darkness around them sometimes. Like uh, we we have to, and if you haven't seen Growing Up Milwaukee, we have to be realistic about the space that we live in. That's a real place. Like watching that documentary, I understood it 110%. I've been there, talked to the same students,
Right.
coach some of those two girls, like played, my girls have played against them. Like I'm looking at kids that I know, and I remember being one of those kids, grew up in 53206. That environment sometimes can suffocate what life you think that you want to have. It makes you feel like you have to make decisions to do other things, and not do things that you want to do, because one, you're trying to do it for other people and you're trying to do it for validation and you're trying to do it to fit in. Like that can be a really lonely place. So even just hearing you, like, man, it just wasn't what I feel here, what I feel in Arizona. I didn't feel that back home. I couldn't get that back home. So that's a big deal.
And I know it's the beginning. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I know it's still fresh, and sometimes fresh always feels better. You know what I mean? I know it takes some adjustment to get to, but like I said, it also comes from that perception, and
Yeah.
the perception of making that move is not having the perception now in my mind that I've made it or that I've done something greater.
Mhm.
That's not what it is. It's just making the move to put yourself in a better position to get to making it, to excelling, to being great, to being what it is that you see yourself as.
Right, right. Exactly the last sentence. It's really how you see it. Like there are a lot of times where people have awesome ideas. We have awesome dreams. Like our vision is man, if you can get that off the ground, like you can go.
Right.
How do you see it? Like the moment you poke holes in it, the moment that you validate that it's not exactly what you thought it could be, like that, just start, just go do what you got, do it what you have. Like that's a real thing. We have to be able to see it for what it is. And really, honestly, a lot of times when we just notice it, if we put our minds to it, if we give it to the Most High to bless it, man, it's gonna come out to be
Got shatas. Don't get me started.
it's Sunday. It's Sunday. We're on the right track. I was gonna ease it in, but it's Sunday. Like I've been blessed tremendously. I didn't even think it would be as many blessings as it is, or feel as good as it is. And definitely, I didn't think it would happen like it did. But that environment will change how you see things, how you work, how you do things. And I do a lot of work in the Milwaukee area still from here, but it still changes how you even are able to communicate with the environment because you understand it, one, and now you can coach away from it too. Coach life into it too.
Right. And it also changes how that environment starts to see you.
Yeah.
And when we go back to what was said about it's all in how we see it, that's where a lot of us make mistakes at, because when we make moves and we change environments, we get satisfied. We feel like we've done something. You know what I mean? And that's where you put the brake pedal on. No, it's not for satisfaction. When you get to where it is that you're trying to, when you get somewhere that's helping you get to where you're trying to get to, that's your time to press the gas a little harder.
Yeah.
That's the time when you're on the highway now and the speed limit says 65, we probably gonna do 68, 70. Just because now we feel like we can get there a little faster because the road is a little bit more open.
That's a mindset thing. That's a total mindset thing. In my mind,
psychological.
It is, because there are people who let's bring it back to, let's center it. There are people in Milwaukee, and I know several people that they get to it. I can count a few people, right? That's the problem that I was having, is I can only count a few people. Sometimes you have to move around, and I was getting into a place where I was just blessed. My move wasn't necessarily that the environment was going to smother my dreams. My move was I can reach a broader, a greater audience, right? So when I think about that and I look back and you try and connect with people to bring it up, like you can kind of point them out. I want a lot of people to be great. Like we know who's made it in our, and when I say made it, we know who's working. Like we know who's pumping into their brain. We know who understands. And that's what I mean by made it. Who got to a place of peace with what they're trying to do. And I feel like we can have so much more energy. Like we have some dope people. People have to really feel that they are dope, really feel like they can get what they need out of the environment that they're in. And it's really understanding and asking yourself, like, hey, is this supporting my dreams? Is this allowing me to be me? Is this something that is going to cultivate me or captivate me? Like sometimes is it going to keep me captive? Like, can I not move forward? Sometimes you don't want to get in front of your regular environment, your regular community, and do things that you would do because it's not the norm. It doesn't give you likes. It doesn't, yeah, you're not, now you don't want to be a leader. It's scary to be out there doing your own thing.
That's when you have to understand, well, that's what we have to understand, how to separate what it is that other people want and what it is that we have, and how to build on what we have.
Right.
That's the consistency part of it. You know what I mean? If me, for example, I read a lot. You know what I mean? I research a lot. I enjoy conversations like this. I understand what I have, so I understand what it is that I have to build on, because I understand what it is that I can pump passion, I can pump energy, I can pump time, I can pump consistency into it. It's not for the likes, it's not for the shares, it's not for the validation of everybody else. It's actually for me. This does something for me internally, not physically, internally. And once I can do something for myself internally, what that does is bless me physically. It all starts from within. I tell people all the time, when you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, you do good. That's just always when you're happy and you're feeling motivated and you're feeling focused and you're feeling determined. This is what the energy that you pump out. So this is the wavelength, the frequency that comes back, because that's the wavelength that you're on.
Yeah.
But being somewhere where it's cold and it's cloudy and you're just drained of energy, you're not able to get what it is that's for you. You know what I'm saying? Once you're not able to get what it is that's for you, then it pulls you away from your passion. It pulls you away from what it is. You have to work harder to get what it is. It's not that things become easier down here. It's you feel more motivated. you feel more driven, you feel more energy, the environment changes because everybody down here has that same mentality of purpose, at
Yeah.
least in your eyes.
Yeah.
When you come down here, you
I
come
got a mind.
right.
I got a mind sometimes.
When you come down here, you have that perception of I'm going somewhere where everybody's moving like I'm moving.
Hmm.
Not I was raised somewhere where I wish everybody was moving like I was moving. That's how the perception and the psychological aspect of it plays its part.
And it's real too to get outside of your environment. Like you need the access of other things. I do remember most of my background is in education, and I know working with inner city kids, especially from Milwaukee, the access is so limited, and then they don't get to see people who look like them do things. Like I know that gets, oh, that's tiring, but it's realistic. Like if you always see somebody else doing something, you just think that those people do those things. I've had kids that say to me, like working in the middle school, like that kind of kid gets that, you know what I mean? And it's not a realistic thing. And I don't want that to be the norm nor the programming, because the system is bad. The system is working towards design. And when I say bad, like it's a bad motherfucker, like it's doing its thing. And it's unfortunate because the very system that is programming the person or our kids to think that they're not worthy of it. You know, Malcolm X said it best, like the Black community should never say we're just as good as white people. That's insinuating that white people are better. No, that we are good in general, and we have to act accordingly, and we have to move accordingly. We have to work accordingly. Your environment has to support that. Like you have to be able to understand when it's taken away from the mission.
And that's where it's becoming uncomfortable. For me, it became very uncomfortable. It's not at peace.
Yeah.
I'm not here. You know what I mean? I'm here all day. No, I want to sit back. I want to breathe. You know what I mean? I want to let go. I want freedom. I want peace. And that's what happens. When you're uncomfortable, that comfort is what changes your perception. Now I have to find the comfort so I can comfortably do what it is that I want to do. When you can't comfortably do what it is that you want to do, then you can't do it till its full potential. If that makes sense?
Yeah. I heard familiarity blocks favor. When you always want to get a level of comfort, or you always want to stay in a level of comfort. I feel like even what you said can be looked in like you have to get uncomfortable to understand and move and grow. Like that's the only way you have to come up out of those comfort zones. You got to get uncomfortable, you got to grow. And then the environment that you're in, it has to support what you're saying. It has to support that growth. Like your environment has to be able to say, you can be comfortable doing this here, but you got to do it is the thing.
And that shift of environment is what should push your expectations.
Yeah.
That's that. You know how I always speak
Oh
about.
yeah, it's challenging you. It's making you want to grow. Like, you can't sit around here and be that.
Exactly. It's not
Right.
comfortable anymore. It changes your complete perception. Like now, I had to force myself. I don't want to say it like that because it sounds so bad. Because then it sounds like you don't have like mental discipline. But that's what it is. I had to work up my mental discipline to get myself to wake up at 5 in the morning to go work out. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm up that early where it's like I got options to what do I want to do? Nope. Now you can do what you got to do, but you're doing it peacefully. You're doing it in some type of harmony to where it doesn't feel out of sync. It feel like this is what's supposed to be going on.
So I told you the other day.
So all praises to the Most
I told you the other day. It's like
High.
it's not punishment. It's preparation. Like there are things that you need, and fall in love with this process. Like fall in love with reading, fall in love with learning, because that's all of what you need to where you're trying to go. We
Right.
try and get there really quickly, and when you don't have consistency, when you haven't built foundation, it's gonna break the mold. There's nobody who really just gets to it without having consistent practices. Even the people who are great already, who have reached their goals, who are financially wealthy, and for me, financial freedom, building wealth, those people are consistent in those practices. They do the same thing routinely. Every man, I posted something and I was being realistic. I get to talk to a lot of wealthy people. And one thing I do know about them is they know what they want. And the other thing that they continue to do is they continue to learn daily. They are always trying to learn something new. They always know, and they follow the money. Let me stop and pin it there. Then money is a tool. Money is a tool for them. So it's not fair. Wealthy people don't fear not having money, so they don't get sucked into doing the same things over and then buying the desires and then repeating the cycle of. That's kind of how you get stuck into always being an earner. You're always working for not for what you want to do type of thing. You get into that fear. But wealthy people truly can get to a place where they use it as a tool. They're not fearful of it, but they consistently do something all the time. They're always learning, always moving. There are habits that wealthy people have, and everybody can have those same habits. Environments can produce those habits.
Come on. That's exactly what I was
That's a classic. Let's talk about it.
Now, because I was just about to say that's what happens when you shift to a new environment. You're creating a new experience, so it's something new to learn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's the little things. Ain't that the new Denzel movie? That's how I get my shout out. Make sure you get my close up for this. It's the little things.
I promise I'm close. When I say close, boy, you already know it's gonna come out in post production.
It's the little things that matter. Like I said, in my intent video that I had did, it's like the climate, the people, the jobs, the cost of living, all these new things that you have to learn, and then able to compare them. You know what I mean? And you see what fits for you, but you'll never know if you keep yourself captive to the environment that you're comfortable in.
Yeah. One thing too, environment to me, it speaks about, and I know that you can look at it a couple ways. I'm thinking validation.
Okay.
When me and you talked a little bit about it and the need for special validation. You wanted me to bring this up. You're like, yeah, I want to talk a little bit about why people think they need to have special validation to do certain things. Right. Your environment can make you move in a way that you're looking for the validation. And when you don't seek that validation, when you don't get that validation, then it's no longer valuable, what you're trying to work on, what you're moving towards. And I almost wanted to bring that up so we can break some of the stigma around that within the environments. If we can't do anything, like if we can't move out of our environment, stop looking for validation. Do things because that's what you want to do. Do things because that's how you would do it. For me, purposely, like intentionally, I just want to do it because that's the way that I want to see it done. And if I'm not doing it the way people like it, or if I'm not doing it the way somebody thought it should be, like the validation isn't in that. You know?
I see it from that thought process of thinking just that ego being risen in the environment. Excuse me. When your ego shifts to an environment where you know no one, there is no search for validation. Now you have to try to create some type of way for validation.
That's a good point there.
Which makes you lean on your purpose. What is it that I have to offer? That's the only thing I can bring to a new environment is a brand new table. This is where they told you now, like, you ain't got to sit with the nerds no more because you play sports. So now go sit over there with the jocks. You're not going to go sit over there with the jocks with the same concept of, hey, do y'all like Dungeons and Dragons? Well, nope, you're going to adjust to what it is that they like. Okay, it's not Dungeons and Dragons, but now how can I put my Dungeons and Dragons with football so that they can see that I have something to bring to the team to feel accepted?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just making sure you was kind of following me. I know I get the babbling, blah 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 blah.
What's wrong with
it? But yeah, that's all. That's what it comes from. People have to understand that we have to understand that we have to constantly, consistently move with a purpose. When we don't consistently move with a purpose, people don't understand who we are.
So no lie, when you were just talking, the first thing that popped in my mind is like, you have to have a destination.
Always.
This is what I think happens when people get lost in their environments. You see something cool, or you wake up and you want something, or you vision and dream about something and you don't vision it out. You don't write it out. You don't have goals that work towards it. You don't have strategic planning that gets you to a place where once you meet the enemy, there's no plan unchanged. There will be chaos in the middle of the change, and you still have to work through that. You have to have a purpose. There has to be a destination that you're going to. And one step further, once you get there, then what? Right? Like, it's almost like you gonna get $1 million. You gonna earn $1 million, but you also gonna blow the $1 million. So if you gotta go ahead, because I already know I'm with you.
And this is how all the greats think. This is where you become a great person when you think past the destination.
Always.
This is where people don't understand Tom Brady, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant.
You don't. There is no destination. I set my destination, but my destination is set off of what it is that I see as great. No one knows what Tom Brady's chasing, LeBron James is chasing. Nobody knows. But what we do is compare. That's all that we know how to do is compare. But they have no vision on what the comparison is. It's about what I'm going for. And I'm going for doing something that the last didn't do. You're just comparing it to that, but you're not understanding what my destination is because I have no ending point. I'm gonna go until I feel like, boom, I'm satisfied,
That's
and
a
that's where. Go ahead.
that's a good point. I was gonna say their purpose is what's driving all of what they're doing on this journey. They
Exactly.
fall in love with the process, right? Like Kobe Bryant said it best, like you have to want to do it every time down.
Come on.
That's okay. Go for it. Back on you. It's okay. Pass the royalty. I'm gonna pass it back.
And when you and when that ego base is there, I'm gonna speak for myself. That's where you get the I see you made it text messages. You know what I mean? That type of stuff people can allow to come inside of them, and that makes you sit back, like because because this is what you see that everybody else sees. So you feed off that. Now you allowing that to stop your journey because now you're like, okay, boom. No, you don't feed off the ego. You got to always remember. I wish I had it. That the mission is
The mission is the mission.
mission is the mission.
Yes,
It never stops. Nobody tells you when it stops. You tell it when it stops because you're the only person that know why it started.
Yeah.
So you can't allow anybody else to tell you when it stopped. That's moving with purpose.
Facts. Facts.
Look, you need that button on your side.
Me too.
You need
I just said facts.
it.
I don't know how it would have came out, but I'll put it on the next one. I had a button like that too. I think I moved it.
No,
I'm
you
gonna
gotta
be good at them.
bring it back, bring it back, bring it back, back. I'm gonna put that button.
I'll be like, no. That's the only one I got. That's the only one I have.
But environmental change is important. Like on a whole nother scale. When people just have to sit back, I always tell people to put themselves in this basic English: the who, the what, the when, the why, the how. With everything that you come to. So you do that same thing when it comes to the environment. You know what I mean? Who am I doing it for?
And let's do some small, what's a small step when you think of changing your environment? Some people can't get up and fly out or get out to Arizona and, set up shop, right?
Right.
There are ways that you should always think to take breaks, unplug, remove yourself from the environment. We deal with people that look at your life and where you spend time, where you spend money, where you spend energy. If you rearrange stuff like that, you can say, you know what, for this weekend, I'm gonna drive down to Chicago. I'm gonna give me a room and I'm gonna just hang out here and get away from my environment. That's a realistic thing. This week, you can do something like, you know what, for the next 21 days, and this Sunday, you can take a fast. 21 days, I'm gonna go away from social media. I'm gonna turn all the notifications off my phone and I won't touch social media for 21 days just to see where your mind goes, right? You could do something else where for this amount of time, I'm going to just set up and make sure I count how many times I'm distracted. When I'm really working on something, when I'm really working on my craft, I'm going to follow and try and track how many times I'm distracted. And that could be if it's an hour worth of time you want to write on a project. Anytime that you're doing something that's not emergency or drinking some water, you're distracted and you count that. Track that and kind of just see where your space and time goes. Like there are different ways to unplug and take breaks because mental breaks are more important sometimes than the actual physical break. You can take a break within your environment. You have to understand that when we think of people, like I know a lot of people that they give and give and give, and you turn around and you're like, man, the reason why you're so down and so negative now, and your energy is so low is because you haven't been pumped into. Breaks allow you to feed yourself back the time and energy. You have to take care of yourself. This is Self-Care Sunday. And Self-Care Sunday, self-care, the biggest way you can do it is love yourself, feed yourself good things from knowledge to food. Like, you know what I'm saying? we've been taught a lot of things. I mean, this is Black History Month. We've been taught a lot of things that are untrue, that just don't make sense, that are not for us, not our Black natural selves, not, and just people in general. A lot of people have been lied to. How do you get yourself to a place where you pump in, take the time, take those necessary life improvement, self-care breaks from people, from stuff, whatever it may be?
Life is like the Matrix. When you hit that one spot when you open the door, and there's just a bunch of doors. You know what I'm saying? Like that's life. Environment is not just about the city and state that you're in. Environment is about the home that you're living in, the school that you go to, the job that you work, the things that you find recreational pleasure in. You know what I mean? All of this is an environment because we talked before about these little groups and clubs that are within these groups and clubs, what are within these groups and clubs. You know what I mean? That's the same way environment is the same thing. So you are hitting it right on the money when you're talking about unplugging because when you get to that hallway of life and you got all the doors open in all these environments. You got to start shutting some of those doors.
Yeah.
Some of those environments you need to keep yourself away from to where you don't even see what's going on in them.
Yeah, it's because it's realistic. People will say, well, new environments give you new opportunities. Old environments give you old opportunities, and those are the
Right.
worst. Like we've had so much access to them that those environments are the ones that you never want to see coming. So I hear you, and it makes perfect sense. Like we let's just pause. Let's just think. Really, you speak about it best. Listen to what your body really truly needs. And when you think about your body, your mind has to be a working part of your body. It has to be, it's the alpha. Like
Yep.
that's where it is.
And you have to put it into some form of alignment.
Yeah. With
Yep.
the omega, which is your heart. Like get your mind going. Get there. You
You got
gotta
to
get
get your mind. Better get your mind right. You got to.
that.
That's where it starts at. So a lot of people running around. Well, a lot of us fall victim to running around letting our physical control. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm tired because my body feels sluggish, but your mind is on go mode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your environment can do the same thing to you. It can keep you anchored
Yeah,
because
because it's all emotional. It's all emotional decisions. It's all how I feel. It's my girlfriend, it's my husband, it's my mom, it's my job, it's my cat. Like that's all emotional driven. Sometimes it's hard to step back and say, what's really fact? What's being
and
driven by emotion? And what can I live with at the end of the day?
and the thought people never think about is I care so much about my environment. Does my environment care that much about me?
Yeah,
Because an environment that cares about you supports what you need.
yeah. Because speaking of, we'll die for a block that we don't own no real
That we
estate,
have come on now.
no
Ain't,
investments.
it ain't even no grass on the block that we could be like, my lawn, nothing, nothing. Have no ownership over anything about it, but you stand with it. Like you pump your blood in it and I never leave. Why would you never leave something that somebody else can come and just take from you and force you to leave it?
And even if you don't got to leave it, take some ownership in it in the point where you try and get it better. You
To where
want
you trying to exactly.
and I understand you be like, yeah, I'm gonna die for mine because it's really yours. Like I get that. Like, don't let your environment be the reason why. It's almost to me like fear. Fear, my environment, it can't be the reason why I don't do something. If that's the only reason I got to say I'm not doing it, then I gotta go. I gotta do it.
And if you got that much comfort in your environment to where you can't make that change, then you have to figure out some type of way to improve your environment.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where a lot of my hindrance came from. You know what I'm saying? Was trying to improve my environment, and my environment was not acceptive of what I was.
Think about it like this too. Some of us, we've already tried to improve our environments at times. We now have to be realistic about where the environment is. Like I agree. There are times where you try and you do different things, you go different places, you move out and try and put yourself in different environments. Sometimes when you can't pull yourself out of being able to, do it a certain way, like when you can't pull yourself out of going with the status quo, you have to just be realistic with yourself that this isn't the environment that's going to get it done. It's almost like working with somebody who wants to quit smoking. You can stop smoking, but if you got an ashtray in every room of your house, your environment is wrong. You got to change it.
Smile. It's a photo. Look, it's a photo shoot.
But
Nah.
yeah, I'm loving it though. The environment that I'm in, so far so good.
And congratulations, man. Big shout outs to the out west.
With the out west. Now out west, but it's not even like I said, it's not the validation. It's just and I'm a vibe, I'm an energy. It's the vibe, it's the energy that I'm
And
getting.
he has been having good energy, y'all. Like this week, I'll be honest, and I told you I was gonna tell you this situation on the when we actually got recording. I've had a long week, but Terrence and I have been working all week. We've been trying to figure out like how to organize certain things, how to make things get to the vision that we have for the production, the message for really the listeners, for you guys. Like, what do you want to see? What do you want to hear? Those kind of conversations have been had this week, and I was having it also during the week where I had to get my own mindset together. Like I had to self care on myself. I didn't self care on myself well. That's what I want to say. Like I didn't show myself really good self care. I almost went right into like a. I felt bad for myself almost. Like I'm not sure if how many people know, but I had a drastic change in my diet. Probably now 8 months now, maybe 9 months. Cut out meats, more of a plant based diet, and really working on things. And I had to this week get my labs drawn. Just take your regular annual, make sure everything is good. So my, blood work comes back and my doctor's like, yeah, you need to go get some more labs drawn. I want to look at some different tests. And they only say that when they feel like they see something in the first place. But I get in and I'm talking to my doctor and it's like, iron is low, vitamin D is low, like B12. And I knew B12 was going to be a problem because you don't get like the dirt and stuff that comes with what we're used to. Like, you got to take a B12 vitamin, and I don't take a B12 vitamin actually. But just everything kind of killed me at one time. So I get into my doctor, and your doctor will say stuff to you that is just different than what you learn. Like, even fruit. Fruit is one of those carbs that's really bad, and you got to cut down on fruit. And I'm thinking to myself, like, none of that shit makes sense. Like, I know what you're saying. I hear you. And I get it from a medical standpoint, what the goal is and the sugars and all that kind of stuff. But I have to come and listen to my body in a place where I was gonna suck. Like I wanted to eat meat. Did you notice that during our session, I had a plate of pizza and chicken wings? And I know you didn't say a word. I was like, you're gonna be like, I figured that that's what it was. And I was just almost like, it was like a stressy moment. I hadn't even had. I was just like, I'm just gonna do this, and it is what it is, because my mental crept up on me, and it crept up on me quick. Like, and I almost got to a place where not that I wanted to give up on it, but it was like I'm just sick of, I don't know, I'm just sick. I'm just sick of hearing this way. I'm sick of trying to learn it this way. I'm sick of trying to be healthy this way. Like I got into one of those moments where my mind started racing. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna eat a chicken wing. Like it is what it is, and it was just different. So this coming into today, I went to a farmer's market this morning. Took a long stroll. I mean, it had all kind of good foods, like good fruits. Man, Quinn was eating on this blood orange, and I mean, just some good food. And I ran into this guy who was just talking to me about like just his journey and where he was. And I'm okay. You know what I mean? Like you will get to a place where you convince yourself that you're just not okay. And my doctor asked me like, "Are you always tired?" And I told her like, "I have optimum. I have excellent energy. When I get up every morning at 5:30 in the morning, workout, like I am fine. I feel good." She almost wanted to tell me like your levels are dangerous. I'm thinking to myself, I don't feel like any of what you're saying. Like I hear you. So I had to get to a place where I'm okay. Regardless of what the tests are saying, regardless of what it is, like I'll continue to get the test. I'll continue to, stay up on what it is that's going on with me. But my mind can't be the reason why I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna jump ship and do whatever it says I need to do, because I know my energy level is different. I know I feel different. I know I'm working on something different. So you got to catch yourself. And I'm glad my environment was what it was. I'm glad I was able to get to a farmer's market. I'm glad I was able to get out in some sun because my vitamin D levels low. Get out in some sun and just kind of really just soak up, take a breather, and say you're not gonna change the world today, but how can you impact it for at least a percent of good? That's what I was working on.
That's and that's that proper preparation. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's a blessing just to be able to be aware of that. A lot of people don't get aware of that and they get stuck in that. And that becomes a problem. You know what I mean? So just being able to be aware of that and being able to stop
you know what I mean, recognize the situation, put a change to it. You know what I mean? That's a blessing alone. I know where you come from because I was in the same boat.
Yeah.
When I made the move, it was stressful. You know what I mean? I'm talking about the whole week of packing. You know what I'm saying? I'm off my diet. You know what I'm saying? I'm not meal prepped up, none of that. I'm
Yeah.
just what you want to eat, TJ. We ordering whatever. You know what I'm saying? Then I make the move. Along the way, I'm stopping. I'm eating whatever. I get here. You know what I'm saying? My first week, it's like whatever. You know what I'm saying? I went grocery shopping, but yet I'm still like whatever. I ain't never had this. I'm trying this. I'm trying. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Then you have to stop and say, wait a minute. That's
Yeah.
not what got you here. Wait a minute. That's not who you are. Wait a minute. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? It's a blessing to be able to stop and analyze yourself and put yourself back on course, put yourself back on track. You know what I mean? And to recognize and be able to look at yourself and not let somebody else's opinion or words discourage you from how you feel. You know what I mean? Because that's the power of the tongue. Like a person can open their mouth and say something to you, and it really can alter your perception and feelings on yourself.
Yeah.
And that could be a terrible thing. That is a terrible thing. You know what I mean? So being able to let your doctor tell you something like, okay, well, I'm gonna pay attention to my levels, but I'm not gonna allow you to tell me that now all of a sudden I need to take 4 more pills a day
Right.
just to feel better when I don't even feel worse. Like I'm confused here on what I'm supposed to be doing. So let me just adjust my diet real quick for your sake. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna continue to do what it is that I'm doing because I mean I'm feeling good. Exactly. You ain't nothing wrong with that.
Man. She was right on. Like, with certain things as far as iron, I get it, but it can be handled by a different remedy. I can get a different cure to take
Right.
care of it.
That's just nature's medication.
And shout out to the doctors that's taking care of folks. It's not a
Hey, especially during this time right now. Especially during this time right now, because we are not going to sit around and act like we are not still in the middle of a pandemic,
no.
people.
And I listen. This is real life talk. I coach some very awesome providers, physicians, APPs, some just brilliant minds, and they really do. They're really doing good work for people. They're really helping change lives. Like I work in the healthcare industry, and no other place would I say that I can impact everybody. Everybody is a patient. Right. So now when I think of the doctors and I think of the people that I work with, like there are some people who are working tirelessly just to make sure they're tracking these COVID vaccinations and what's happening to our staff. Like a lot of people went in to get their vaccination these last couple of weeks. A lot of our staff have taken their second dose, and they have been like working tirelessly around the clock to make sure that symptoms, what's happening with people, they have been paying our staff. So if people have to be off because of COVID, if it's because of the vaccine, if it's because of how their body reacted to it, like they've been taking care of their people. So really big shout out to healthcare industry, absolutely providers, man, everybody who's working on the front lines, because our leadership did not help us during this time. So it's been the providers that's been carrying the show.
Hey, and we're not gonna also take away the fact, shout
Front
out to people
lines.
like you who are helping to keep those people
Oh yeah.
going and keep them motivated and keep their mind right. Better get your mind right. Because during this time, it's real easy to lose it, and I can believe that in the healthcare field with the numbers and the statistics and stuff that you have to see the data, and you know what I mean. It can get scary and it can make you retreat. We've seen this in the news. We've seen people like, "Hey, too much. Boom, I'm out of here. Hey, I'm going to Cancun, Ted Cruz."
Oh my, I wish we had listen, Calamane, can we use your donkey of the day button, my nigga? Because listen,
Oh,
I'm like, and then he gonna put on his daughters. My daughters didn't have school and they wanted to go. So I went for a day. I'm like, you a clown.
like, come on. Um,
Back to it. Back to it.
real quick though. This message though. If you got an environment that's out there and it's calling for you, this message is for you. A lot of us can retreat, you know what I mean, and not pick the phone up when that call is coming through. Or we just keep thinking it's the guy that's calling talking about our car insurance. But maybe sometimes we need to let the whole message go through because maybe somewhere in that environment to call, the message is for you. And it's time for you to get up and make a change to your environment because you're not able to make the change in the environment. You know what I'm saying? So you have to change from the environment. So if you're looking to make some type of change into your environment or you have made some type of change in your environment and you're looking for a little bit of support or something, this message is for thou.
On this Holy Sunday,
Holy Sunday
self-care.
that spoke to thou about
Take care
environmental
of yourselves,
change.
people. Take care of yourselves.
Most definitely. You got anything to conclude before we wrap this thing up?
Just real quick, short and simple. Self-care, because that's what love is about. It's about taking care of yourself. And remember, the mission is the mission. I am Dr. Classic. We can always talk about it.
And on that note, you know what I like to leave with? The word is peace, people. Peace. That's positive energy. Always creates elevation. Peace, love, prosperity. And until next time. Self-Care Sunday. Self-Care Sunday. Out.
Hey, I'm here for the talk. Let's talk about it.
Bounce. Bounce. Self-Care Sunday.
It's time for tea time.